Welcome back to Man Down Sports, man. We live and we go talk about a whole bunch of NBA stuff, including the MVP, including Curry and LeBron, quote unquote rivalry, Lakers Warriors, Joel Embiid, Jokic, and of course the Phoenix Suns. Man, we're gonna try to talk about all that stuff, man. I think Phoenix played tonight, game three, first game in Phoenix against Denver. They in trouble in that series. We're gonna talk about that toward the end. But yeah, man, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and go ahead and hit the share button as well, and give me a thumbs up as well on your way in here. But yeah, I wanted to get in here and discuss some of these things, because there's a lot going on in the NBA, and I haven't been on here since last week, so this is a good opportunity to do so, man. But I want to give y'all my thoughts on a couple of things, starting with this Curry and LeBron James rivalry that the NBA seems to be selling us in the media, man. And I didn't buy it. Well, I didn't buy what they were selling from the very jump, from the beginning, right? I didn't buy it at all, because I'm old enough to know that the Curry LeBron rivalry is not a full playoff series or four final series like they're trying to promote it as. Like Curry led the Warriors to the championship one year, and LeBron met him in the finals, and LeBron lost his number two and Kyrie Irving game one, and then he lost his number three in Kevin Love a series before that to a shoulder injury. So he didn't have his number one or his number three. So it was somewhat of an unfair fight, but it still, both teams had their number ones. They had Curry and had LeBron. So you could say that first matchup in the finals was a Curry LeBron face off, or a Curry LeBron matchup. And we know the history on that. The Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry won that one. And then they met again the season after that. And then the Golden State Warriors blew a 3-1 lead to a healthy Cavs team who had both Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and LeBron James. What conclusion we kind of drew from that, and probably the same conclusion that the Warriors drew from that as well, is that LeBron James and Kyrie Irving healthy with the Cleveland Cavs was a little bit too much for the Warriors, because now you got Curry as the number one, and you got LeBron as the number one on the other side, and LeBron was a much better, more unstoppable player at that time in their career. So it was almost a imbalanced, unfair match. Even though the Warriors played better basketball on the offensive end than the Cavs, I think the free flowing, equal opportunity basketball that the Golden State Warriors played was a better form of basketball than what Kyrie and LeBron played, where it was kind of like a your turn, my turn, a lot of ISO ball going on with Kyrie and LeBron, with high screen and roll and getting shooters open, and dishing it out the shooters unless LeBron and Kyrie make a play and make their own shot. So their offense wasn't even as sophisticated as the Warriors. Despite all of that, LeBron and Kyrie was so good that they still came back on up from a 3-1 deficit and just beat the crap out of the Warriors, right? So what did that lead the Warriors to thinking? With Steph Curry as our number one, facing the Cavs healthy, with LeBron as the number one and Kyrie as the number two, I want you to just think about that for a minute. The top 3-point guards in the league right now, even probably then, but let's just be current right now. Steph Curry would be number one, and I'm taking Luka out of the point guard position, because I think he's a small forward playing point, kind of like Harden is a 2 guard playing point. So I'm not going to put them in that category. But the best point guards in the league to me is Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, Dame Lillard, right? And then you got some guys right behind them, and maybe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox, maybe Ja Morant. But I think it's a separation between Lillard, Curry, and Steph and the rest of the point guards. That's how good Kyrie Irving is. Now imagine if Kyrie Irving is just as good as Curry, especially back then, and he's the number two. So it looks like a Curry and Kyrie Irving head to head, and then at the top of that pyramid is LeBron, and there's that LeBron don't have an equal. LeBron did not have an equal in this matchup. So you got Steph and Kyrie equals, and then you go under that to Clay, and then you can say Clay and Kevin Love were kind of equals, right? But mind you, Kevin Love is LeBron's number 3. Clay is Steph's number 2. So we still got equals with Kyrie and Curry, equals with Kevin Love and Clay, and then you got J.R. Smith, Draymond. You get what I'm saying? So, but there was no equal for LeBron James. So it was always, I don't think the Warriors felt that they were ever going to beat Cleveland again the way they was constructed. So they had to go out and recruit Kevin Durant. Now Kevin Durant is a guy that's on the same platform and the same level as LeBron James. So now LeBron James has an equal, and then Curry and Kyrie equal, and then Clay and Love equal. So if you want to really be honest, Kevin Durant coming to the Warriors actually evened out the matchup. It was uneven when LeBron was a man amongst boys and sitting at the top of the pyramid by his lonesome. Kevin Durant came and evened it out, right? So I say all that to say this: there's no such thing as a Scottie Pippen versus Barkley face-off, because Michael Jordan was the number 1 for the Bulls, and when they faced the Phoenix Suns, so was Charles Barkley the number 1. So it was a Barkley and Jordan face-off. There's no such thing as a Pippen and Clyde Drexler face-off. There's no such thing as a Pippen and Karl Malone face-off. Those was Jordan's contemporaries. It was a Jordan Clyde Drexler face-off, a Jordan Magic face-off, a Jordan Bird face-off, a Jordan Isaiah, a Jordan Patrick Ewing, a Jordan Shaq, a Jordan David Robinson, Jordan Karl Malone, not Jordan John Stockton, not Pippen Karl Malone. So we don't face off number 1s with number 2s. It's the 2 top guys in a face off. So there's no such thing in the 2 championships that Kevin Durant won with the Warriors. There's no such thing as a Curry LeBron rivalry or face off. This is made up. This is how they're trying to sell this series between the Lakers and the Warriors right now in the present, by doing a revisionist history and trying to make it seem like there was some rivalry between Curry and LeBron. Curry won 1, Curry lost 1. LeBron won 1, LeBron lost 1. Kevin Durant, as a number 1 for the Warriors, is 2-0 against LeBron. So that rivalry is one in itself. Kevin Durant, LeBron face off 2-0 for Kevin Durant. Or if you want to add when Kevin Durant was with the Thunder and LeBron was with Miami Heat, there was a Kevin Durant and LeBron face off. And of course, the Miami Heat won that one. So it's 2-1 for Kevin Durant versus LeBron. It's 1-1 for LeBron versus Curry, right? So let's correct that, fix that. We understand that they got to sell tickets. They got to sell they got to market it like it's a fight, and they got to sell it and promote it and all that stuff. We get that, but don't fall for it. There's no such thing as a Curry-LeBron rivalry. They only faced off twice. Kevin Durant and LeBron were the ones who faced off the other 2 times. So it's not a 3-1 rivalry going Curry's way and LeBron in the hole. That's not what it is, right? So I just wanted to point that out, man, because that's one of the things that kind of irks me about how the media tries to play on our emotions and stuff like that, and try to sell their games and stuff like that. But so there's no real rivalry for me right now. Draymond Green did mention after game 1, and it looked like the Lakers came out and just played phenomenal basketball. Anthony Davis played phenomenal, had 20 plus rebounds and all that stuff. And if you notice, and this is something that I noticed ever since that trade, and I kind of noticed it a little bit earlier this season, and it's one of those things that I've been begging LeBron to do for a long time, and that's to give up the point guard duties, to give up the point forward duties, and really concentrate on his game off the ball and develop that part. Because what I think that's going to do is going to take more load off your shoulders, and it's going to allow your teammates, especially your teammates that are pure point guards. Like, they got 3 of them on their team: Reeves, Schroeder, and D'Angelo Russell. They got 3 pure point guards on their team. And imagine if LeBron continued to try to be what LeBron has been most of his career, as the primary ball handler or the primary playmaker or the setup guy or the screen and roll guy. If he was doing that for 4 quarters, that would turn Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, and Schroeder both into catch and shoot 3-point shooters. And you don't want to do that, right? And I've been begging LeBron to do that so many years, so long. Come off the ball, show us what you can do off the ball, and let your point guards do their job. And that's going to allow your whole team to just flourish. And if you notice, when LeBron got hurt and he missed 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks he missed, right? And they made the trade. They got rid of Russ. They bring in Beasley. They bring in Hachimura. They bring in D'Angelo Russell. They bring in Vanderbilt. You know, they get Reed start playing lights out. AD gets healthy. He's playing lights out, and they're winning games. They even beat Golden State one time. So they were just playing phenomenal basketball. And I kept saying, when LeBron comes back, he's going to either demand to go back to playing Bron ball, and it's going to mess everything up, or he's going to elevate himself to a different style of play, get off the ball, and we're going to see some good basketball. And lo and behold, LeBron actually came off the ball, and I think that's what's propelled the Lakers into playing good basketball like they're playing now. Now, I mentioned all that because I wanted to say this. First and foremost, there's kudos to LeBron for being able to do that. He showed me a whole lot, and if you see, he's helping. Actually, he's playing kind of like power forward, and he's helping Anthony Davis secure the paint. You know, Anthony Davis is getting blocks left and right at the rim, but LeBron is getting weak side blocks as well, right? A lot of blocks at the rim, man. So he's able to preserve some of his energy at his age of 38, and he's able to put some of that energy on the defensive end. So I have no complaints for LeBron as a defender this year at all. I have no complaints, and I have no complaints as far as him hogging the ball. Now, there's another player that comes to mind when I think about this who needs to follow this blueprint, and that's Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic right now is having withdrawal symptoms from coming off the ball. When they got Kyrie Irving, they start requiring that he come off the ball a little bit more. What Dallas is going to have to do is exactly what the Lakers just did with LeBron. What Dallas is going to have to do to get the best out of their team is they're going to have to tell Luka, you're no longer the point guard. You're no longer the point guard. What I would do is one or two things. If I was the Dallas Mavericks, if I keep Kyrie Irving, I would have Kyrie Irving be my point guard. But whoever my 2 guard is would be a big 2 guard that can guard both positions, 1 and 2, right? Because even though Kyrie on paper will be my point guard, I'm going to use Kyrie Irving kind of like they use Steph Curry, not as much as a shooter, but, you know, doing work off the ball, running off some screens a little bit, and every now and then he'll bring the ball up and do his thing. So the 2 guard positions will be interchangeable as far as running the offense. But since Kyrie Irving is such a good scorer, and he's such a skilled scorer, and he can do it so many different ways, catch and shoot, come off screens, ISO, he even posts up in the mid post pretty good. You know, so, you know, he plays bigger than what he is. So, you know, it'd be like a Steph Curry or Allen Iverson, where he's a 2 guard, undersized, but my point guard can actually make up for his deficiencies. That way I don't have to worry about a mismatch on defense, and Kyrie Irving won't be able to guard, you know, some big 2 guard, because whoever my real point guard would be big enough to guard 2 guards. You get what I'm saying? So, like, you know, think of names like Chris Dunn. He's a 6'5" point guard. He's in Utah now, but I don't think he's under a long-term contract, so he might be available. Somebody like Chris Dunn, who can play great defense, who's not 100% looking for his shot, so he's going to be okay with just setting the offense up and making sure he's finding guys. You know, so, you know, he can guard a good 2 guard. And then Kyrie could guard the point guard, so he won't be in mixed matches all the time. You get what I'm saying? So I would do that. I would look for a big point guard like Chris Dunn or somebody like that who can play defense and who can score when he needs to. And I would have him guard the 2s and have Kyrie guard the 1s, and Luka would be my small forward, right? And the offense I would run for Luka would be similar to the offense that Boston ran for Paul Pierce. I would have him in some mid post ups, some low post ups. I have him, in some catch and shoot situations. I have him run off a couple of screens a little bit. And whenever Kyrie or my point guard goes to the bench, guess what? Just like Boston did when Rondo went and sat down, and they brought Eddie House in, who was a great shooter but not a pure point guard. They would have Eddie House off the ball, and they would have Paul Pierce bringing the ball up. Right, that's your opportunity. You'll be my option, my third option as a ball handler instead of my first, second, and third option. You'll be my third option. Right, that's what I would do for Luka. That's what they're doing for LeBron James in LA, and it's working. And we're able to see that Reeves is able to get his, D'Angelo is able to get his, and even Schroeder is able to get his. Like, they can actually run the offense like a pure point guard should be. Like, neither one of those guys are the main option on offense when it comes to scoring. So when you have a point guard who's not the main option, he can look and help and facilitate the main option. Or he don't mind. All right, bring the ball back out. We thought we had numbers, we didn't. Let me bring it back out, reset it, and then direct traffic. AD post, you got a mismatch. That's what pure point guards do when they're not looking. They're not also the primary scorer, right? But when you have your primary scorer being your point guard, you miss opportunities like that because they're always going to be thinking about how can I get my shot off, or how can I get an assist off this pass if you double me. That's how they think. That's how Luka think. Either you're gonna double and I'm gonna pass into an open 3-point shooter who's gonna knock it down and I'm gonna get an assist, or if you don't double, I'm going to go get my shot. They ain't thinking about setting up no play, running no offense. They ain't thinking about another player who might have a mismatch that I'm gonna give them an opportunity. They're not even thinking about that. As a matter of fact, if you're a big man like Christian Woods and I screen and there's a switch and Christian Wood at 6'11" ends up with a 5'9" guy on his back in the post, and a 7-footer ends up on Luka at the perimeter, the way they're taught to think now, especially a person with a scorer's mentality, he's not thinking, hey, that's a mismatch down low with a 6'11" guy and a 5'9" guy. I get him down there, mouse in the house, throw it down there, and get an easy bucket. They're not thinking it. What they're thinking is, shoot, spread, because I got a 7-footer on me and I can get to the hole or I can get a foul. That's how scorers think. But pure point guards are not thinking like that, right? So you want a pure point guard who's dedicated to getting everyone baskets first, and also for knowing when it's time to get the ball to your best player and let him do his thing, or knowing when it's time where, shoot, man, they're doubling the best player. He can't get a good shot. I can't get nobody else involved. Let me go get my own shot. Right? That's how point guards think. That's how Chris Paul think. That's how Jason Kidd thought. That's how Stockton thought. You get what I'm saying? So that's what Dallas needs. And I like the fact that the Lakers has done that with LeBron. And I think to be honest with you, I wish I would have seen LeBron do this when he was in his prime. He somewhat did it in Miami, but I don't think he really liked it. They had Mario Chalmers there. They didn't do a whole lot of ISO LeBron ball. So in Miami for 4 years, he did a little bit of that. But when he went back to Cleveland, it was all Brown ball. It was all Brown ball. So, I wish I would have seen more of that from LeBron than like what we seen this year, man. So that was cool. Let me get to these comments real quick. Love ain't even show up, but I get it. You talking about when I was saying Love? Oh yeah, okay. Well, I see, man. You see Luka buying into the small forward position, don't Mill? He absolutely needs to, but in the original, we'll see and have him buy it. I mean, he go. I don't know if Luka would do it. It sound like he open to it, but because like when Kyrie showed up this season, Luka was hurt, and immediately when Kyrie showed up, the offense looked so much different. Very amazing ball movement. Kyrie didn't want the ball every play. He was allowing Tim Hardaway, to make plays. He was even allowing Theo Pinkston to get off the bench and handle the ball, which he couldn't even get off the bench when Luka was the main focal point. Right. Same thing with JaVale McGee. They bought JaVale McGee as a free agent because Jason Kidd built a relationship with him in Los Angeles when Los Angeles won in the bubble. And when J. Kidd took the job in Dallas and he was there for a year, and then the summer came and JaVale McGee was available, he talked JaVale McGee into coming to LA and signing because he promised him a starting position. And this is all according to some of the Dallas radio stations that is reporting it. I don't know how true that is, but supposedly the starting position was promised to JaVale McGee. But there's one problem. When you're playing LeBron ball or Luka ball or James Harden ball, it's very hard for a 7-footer to clog the lane. They don't want them down there. They want the lane open, and the 7-footer needs to be someone who can spread the floor and knock down a 3-point shot. That's why Maxi Kleber or Bertans would get more PT than JaVale McGee, even though Bertans provided zero defense, right? And Maxi Kleber provided zero championship pedigree, zero playoff real playoff experience, all of that stuff. The shot blocking, of course, Maxi Kleber is a good defender. I give him that, but the shot blocking is not going to be equivalent to JaVale McGee. So all the issues they had on defense and at the rim could have been solved by playing with JaVale McGee. But if you play JaVale McGee, then Luka won't be able to get the numbers that he's used to getting, and he won't be able to play the offensive style that he's catered that caters to him. Right? He's accustomed to playing. So I say all that to say that when Kyrie joined the team, immediately JaVale McGee was playable, and he could get in and give them great minutes. Because Kyrie don't need you to stand at the 3-point line for him. He can get his points in tight spaces. He can score in the phone booth. He don't need the whole ocean wide open so he can go and make 10 moves and 10 dribbles and 10 back downs and 10 screens just to get him a good high percentage shot. You know, Kyrie don't need that. So you can play with more limited players on offense when you're that type of player. So that was how they was playing the games that Luka was out. When Luka came back, they was trying to figure out how it was going to work, and then it all went to hell from there, right? So, I mean, if you really look at it, they was trying to get Luka off the ball, but he was pouting. He didn't like it. If they wasn't winning, he would go right back to give me the ball. Let's go back to Luka ball. So you could see it was like an internal struggle there. And they had to have several team meetings talking about it. You know, I did a video about how all these guys have told Luka to his face, I don't like playing with you. You know, I don't like playing with you, man. So it was a lot of issues going on in that locker room. And most of it was because they was trying to transition from this Luka-centric basketball that they was playing, this 5-man out, spread, high screening roll. Luka always has the ball. Luka's going to give everybody their shots. They was trying to transition away from that, and Luka wasn't he wasn't too happy about it, right? But he does want to win, and he's a young kid, so you know he can be influenced. But it was hard. He does want to win, and I really think that's why Rick Carlisle is not there no more, because I look at the offense that Rick Carlisle runs in Indiana now. I look at the offense Rick Carlisle won a championship in Dallas with Dirk and playing with J. Kidd, and it doesn't look like anything that he was doing with Luka. So I know Rick Carlisle doesn't really like 5-man out, high screening roll. The ball is in one person's hand the whole shot clock until he passes to somebody for a 3-point shot. I know he doesn't like that. So I'm thinking that he probably tried to transition out of that as well, and Luka didn't like it, and they sent him packing, right? So we'll see, man. It's gonna be interesting. So either we'll know if Dallas is serious about winning if Luka is not the point guard. If they come out at game 1 and Luka is the point guard, then they're not serious about winning and they go struggle again. But if they want to keep Luka at the point guard, what's probably going to happen is they're going to try to figure out how to sign and trade Kyrie Irving and Kyrie Irving might end up, and I'll talk about this later when I get on Phoenix. He might end up in Phoenix, and in return, Phoenix are going. They're going to have to either, because I think CP3 still has one more year on that contract. It might be a player option. I got to double check on that, but it's a pretty penny. So if they want Kyrie, they won't be able to keep CP3 unless he restructure his contract or something, or he opt out and then sign for a vet minimum or something like that. But the sign and trade, they're gonna have to send somebody over. And they sent over plenty of draft picks and plenty of players for Kevin Durant. So they don't have a lot of players to send over there. Of course, they're not going to send Booker or KD. So the only two players that are really valuable to somebody like Dallas, they might want Ayton, but they might want CP3 as well. I don't know why they would at 39. He'd be 39 next year, but they might take that just to make the trade work, because what they traded to get Kyrie Irving, they absolutely 100% has to sign him to a contract this summer, because if they don't, he's going to walk as a free agent, and all the players and draft picks they gave up for him would have been a waste, right? So one or two things is going to happen. Either Kyrie's going to sign and stay in Dallas and play, or they're going to sign him and then trade him. And I think Phoenix is a good destination. That's probably somewhere he want to go. But CP3 and Ayton will be coming back. So if they do that, maybe CP3 comes off the bench. But I'm pretty sure if they do something like that, they'll probably be looking to continue to run Luka ball and have Luka play the point guard position. Yeah, and you're right. C Wood was a bucket, not even use him, and now he about to walk. And that's one thing that if you look at everyone who's played this style of offense, where you're the best player, you're the primary scorer, and you're the primary ball handler, primary facilitator, and you use all those reasons. All those things you do on offense, you use as an excuse to rest on defense. Everybody who plays that style, Harden, Luka, Westbrook, and even LeBron when he was at Cleveland, they all, not LeBron so much, but Westbrook, Luka, and Harden, they all rested on defense. They all didn't play any defense, right? They didn't even participate on the defensive end. And they say, well, I'm doing all this on offense. It makes sense. So they'll go and grab four of the guys who can play defense to cover up his deficiencies, right? But those guys that play defense also have to be 3-point shooters because the offense don't work. So you have to have Kleber out there. You have to have Dorian Finney-Smith. Tim Hardaway couldn't start because his defense isn't that good. So Dinwiddie, all these guys had to play defense for Luka, and they had to knock down 3-pointers for 82 straight games plus playoffs. Like, imagine having to be hot. Like, your offense not working if you're not hot. Like, you can't go 1 for 6 because now y'all losing because the whole offense is Luka either go shoot or he's going to pass it to an open 3-point guy, and you have to hit it. I'm not getting layups. I'm not getting post-ups. I'm not getting fast breaks that often. I'm not handling the ball. I can't take my man if I got a mismatch. No. Stand at the 3-point line, wait for me to pass it to you, and shoot it. And you have to be hot. And imagine that pressure. Imagine being a team that's structured to where you tell your best player, listen, we're going to put all the pressure on your supporting cast. You can do whatever you want. You can go left, right, down the middle, down the center. You can step back 3. You can do whatever you can take 40 shots a game wherever you want. The whole court is your playground. You can set up anywhere on there. So the whole world is your oyster. So that's little pressure on your best player. And then you tell the players that's lesser than him, that's supposed to be helping him, you got all the pressure because whenever he passes you the ball, you have to shoot it and make it. Because if you don't make it, we're going to lose. So his supporting cast got to be hot, and then they got to go in on the other end and play defense on other great players that's just as good as their best player, because their best player can't guard them. Imagine that. It makes no sense, man. So I don't know, man. That's just my take on that part of the basketball. Score on the phone booth, man. Yeah. That's a word, man. Better score in the phone booth, and that's how it was in the 90s. Remember the lane was clogged. You would have a center in the post. You have a post. You have a power forward on the block as well. Power forward might be free throw line, maybe, depending on what offense you run. But for the most part, you got a power forward in the center in the paint, and that made everything different back then because now if you're Dennis Rodman, a rebound costs more then than it costs now. It's cheaper now. A rebound back then meant for Dennis Rodman meant I got to box out either Shaq, Karl Malone, Elijah Wan, David Robinson, Duncan, right? LaFonso Ellis, Larry Johnson, Pat Ewing. Like I'm boxing, I'm either guard, like for Dennis Rodman, I'm either guarding these guys, right? And contesting their shot and then fighting for a rebound, right? Oakley, like these deep Anthony Mason, these are big dudes down there that live down there. Lonzo Mourning, right? They wasn't standing at the 3-point line. So if I'm coming in, I got to defend somebody driving to the hole. I got to defend that shot. I got to help on defense. I got to box out, rebound, and I got to guard some Hall of Fame center or power forward. So getting a rebound back then was like in the trenches, right? That was you was in that phone book, right? So, but getting a rebound now, the lane is wide open. The power forward and the center is probably at the 3-point line, either not posted up, but either set up for a catch and shoot, or if you're not a shooter, you're probably setting the screen for your best guy. But that paint's wide open, and it's so many threes being shot that just like any coach would tell you, you shoot a long shot or long three, that means the rebound is going to come off long. Like layups and shots inside the paint, those are the ones that fall in the paint. That's what you're boxing out for. But those long 3-pointers and those long shots, they're hitting the rim with a little bit more velocity, and they're coming off the rim a little further. So the rebounding area is around the perimeter. That's where those rebounds are going. So the people that are battling for those are not fighting, elbowing, and boxing out. They're just running. They're just being quicker to the ball, just timing it where it's going, and they're running to it. That's why Westbrook and Curry, they're getting so many rebounds. Like I've seen several 15 rebound games from Steph Curry in the finals against the Cavs because everybody was shooting threes. You know what I mean? So you just got to be fast and run to the ball and run it down. Right? It's the rebounds cost more in the 90s than it did, and just like scoring, 2 buckets was worth more then than 2 points was worth more then than it is now. It's cheap now, because you don't have to go through the same thing and get those 2 points. You score in a phone booth in the 90s. Now you in the ocean. You got the whole ocean. The whole floor is spread. The paint is wide open. You got that whole area to get your shot. And then if you're the best player, you probably got the ball and all of the 24 seconds of the shot clock if you want it. You don't have to move the ball. The ball don't have to rotate. They're not asking the ball to touch 2 or 3 hands before you get a shot. You know how coaches was. They're not doing all that. They're just saying, hey, give it to my best player and get the best shot you can get. Use all the screens, all the dribbles, and all the seconds of the shot clock as you can. As long as you get us a open 3 or a layup. And that's how they're running it now. All right, man, let's get to Milwaukee and Coach Bud getting fired. I don't got a lot to say about this, but I will say this. Coach Bud, well, we didn't know when he first got fired, or we didn't know when Giannis and the Bucks first got put out that, he had some a death in the family. Supposedly, what was reported was his brother died in a car accident. So he was dealing with a lot during that series. And yeah, sure, he underperformed. The team underperformed and all that stuff, man. They lost to the Bucks, 8 seed. But you can't forget that the Bucks were the number 1 seed in the whole playoffs, in the whole league. They had the best record all season pretty much, with an MVP candidate on it, playing great basketball, who also was in the top, 2 or 3 teams defensively. They had a defensive player of the year candidate in Lopez, getting about 2, almost 3 blocks a game. Then you got Giannis, who's always going to be in the running for defensive player of the year, who's won 2 defensive player of the years and the MVP, and he's won a championship. So I won a championship 2 years ago. My team has been competitive the whole time I've been there, right? I know I was on the hot seat the year that I won a championship. So because supposedly he was supposed to get fired that year. So he was on a hot seat that year, but he won a championship. So that bought him some time. Team stayed competitive. He adding pieces where he needed to add pieces. Team continued to be high performing on offense and defense. They lost Middleton for a while. Giannis was able to keep it afloat. Like, he's doing a good coaching job. And when you find a good coach, I don't think that when you fail or underachieve, it's time for you to get fired. Like Dwayne Casey in Toronto, he won Coach of the Year one year, and he kept making the playoffs. And DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry just kept falling short. They just couldn't get past LeBron. I mean, that don't mean you had to fire Casey. Now he's in Detroit, struggling. Like, they fired Casey, and then they bring in Nick Nurse, and then they get Kawhi, and they get lucky, and Kawhi wins a championship, and they fire Nick Nurse because he underachieved this year. Like, like, you're bringing the same squad back every year, right? And you asking this coach to, hey man, I want you to make steps every year. You can't be stagnant. Okay, Nick Nurse won the championship, but they lost Kawhi. What did you expect him to do after Kawhi walked? You got rid of DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi, and it was a 1-year rental. Kawhi didn't stay. That's not Nick Nurse's fault, right? So, and what happened with the Bucks this year? I mean, you can say it's Coach Bud's fault, but like, is that something that you fire him over if he's done all these other things? Like, they're the number 1 team in the league. They won a championship 2 years ago. They got the best defense in the league. I don't know. I mean, what else could he have done other than win another championship? Like, you don't get that many. I mean, like, it's hard to win a championship. It's not easy to just keep going back. Like, you can't take that for granted. Like, it's not in the cards for a team to win every single year. So I don't think he should have got fired. But now that he is fired, I don't know who they go bring in. I don't even know if the Bucks. I mean, it's Giannis. You got Giannis on your team, so it's got to be a sexy job for some coach. But I don't know if it's sexy enough for somebody like Mark Jackson. Like, personally, me, I think it'd be kind of hard to coach Giannis if he doesn't start improving his game. Like, I want to see Giannis move away from trying to be a downhill, I run full speed at the rim, and if I don't get a wide open lane, I'm just gonna run through your chest, and hopefully they call a foul on the defensive guy. I mean, that's pretty much what his game is. Either I'm gonna get you on a fast break, and that big 7-foot monster with all that speed running like freaking LeBron James, and then once he gets to the free throw line, he just one step away from a dunk. I mean, pretty much, like, he gets to the free throw line, he ain't got to take no more dribbles. It's just one long step, or if he want to take 2 steps, it's a Euro step, and then he's long enough that now it's a dunk. So if you don't stop him at half court or the 3-point line, he's probably gonna get in the paint, right? So that's pretty much what his game is. But when you get him in the half court, now that's where the problem comes in, because now I need a screen. And when I get that screen, hopefully you switch and I get a mismatch, and I can take that mismatch to the paint. Or maybe if I get a smaller player on me, then I can play back to the basket and pound a couple of dribbles and get a jump hook. But like, can you give me 5 straight jump hooks in a row? Like, if all we giving you is jump hooks, are you confident that Giannis is gonna go down there and hit 5 straight jump hooks in a row? Because I know Tim Duncan could probably do it. I know Rasheed probably could do it. I know if I get a ball to Dirk in the post, 5 times without a double team, I know he go give me either the same 5 moves or 5 different moves. With Giannis, if he give me the same 5 moves, I'm not confident that he'll hit him 5 times or 4 times or 3 times, right? That's number 1. And number 2, I know he can't give me 5 different moves. That's not about to happen. So if he have to play with his back to the back, I know if Kevin Garnett got the ball in the post and you don't double him, I know it's gonna be a fadeaway. It's gonna be over either shoulder. It's gonna be a up and under, right? I know the footwork is good. It's gonna be hell down there, not for Giannis. So he needs to. He's a power forward. Develop your block game, right? Develop some of your mid range, and then same thing with Luka. This superpower you got with the ball in your hand, use that when you need to be a Superman. But to try to use it for 4 straight quarters is too easily the game plan if you have the players, the pieces, and a good coach like Miami Heat does. Miami Heat always get them problems in the playoffs because they built that wall and they dare him to do something different than just run 100 miles per hour at the rim. So they should have kept Coach Bud. I think the change that should have been made is Giannis needs to take another step in his development. Maybe that'll help. And then they add a new piece to help him out. Brook Lopez and Drew Holiday were good pieces for 2-3 years ago. Now they still good pieces to stay there, but I think you can have something better. Middleton. I guess you could keep it, but I would be looking for another number 2, just to change it up a little bit. Kind of highlight the Bulls went from Horace Grant to Dennis Rodman. Sometimes you just gotta change it up sometimes. So that's my thoughts on that. Then I want to get on this Joel Embiid thing. I heard a clip from Doug Gottlieb. I'm gonna play what Doug Gottlieb said about Kendrick Perkins and how he changed the MVP trajectory and all that stuff, man. I'm gonna give you my commentary on it. I think it's kind of funny, man, but I'm gonna play what Doug said.
But that's where we are. It's like nobody wants to come out and say the truth because they're worried about social media crushing them. So I will. When Kendrick Perkins made it about race, the race for MVP changed dramatically. Because there are enough people that get scared of, like, I don't want to be called a racist. I know I'm not a racist. I don't want to be called a racist. I'm going to look further into it. And you can make an argument about Embiid. That's fine. It's absolutely fine. You're completely allowed to. But you can't tell me that that's not at least suddenly in the back of people's minds. There was this stat, and it's from a guy named Wade, right? And he's a content creator, whatever. But I saw this other places. At its_Wade, Joel Embiid is the first player since Kobe in 2008 to win the MVP award despite not leading the league in at least one of these categories: PER, BPM, WS-48, that's per 48 minutes, win shares, and OBPM. Jokic led the league in all 5. Okay. Jokic led the league in all 5 categories for 3 consecutive seasons.
So it's funny, the content creator that he was referencing, Wade, his tweets pop up on my feed a lot, and I actually responded to that tweet. And it was funny because he did say, "Hey, look, Joel Embiid," and the dude is from Denver, so he's a Denver Nugget through and through. He loves Jokic, he's a homer, right? So, it is what it is with that, right? But he said Embiid is the only guy since Kobe in 2008 that won the MVP that didn't lead in all these advanced analytics. Not just simple stacks. When you go to these advanced analytics, he's saying Joel Embiid didn't lead. He's the only MVP since Kobe that didn't lead in all these things. He's talking about win shares per 48. He's talking about PER and all this. Like, who the heck? Like, seriously, what we grew up playing basketball and being kids, high school, whatever. Just think about this. We went out there and hoop. I can look at a guy and tell how good he is versus how good this guy is, and I don't need a PER. Like, seriously, think about this, man. Like, what the heck is PER? What are the advanced analytics and advanced stats? PER, win shares, and win shares per 48. What is all that doing in the MVP discussion, right? So I'm gonna tell you why Joel don't lead in all those things, right? Because all those things are meaningless. Like, you have to play a certain style of offense to even get those stats. And mind you, all those stats are just offensive stats, right? So when did we ever not take defense into the accountability when we're talking about these serious awards? So my reply to him was, Jokic is the only person to win MVP that didn't lead or who wasn't at least top 10 in scoring, and who played zero defense since Steve Nash. Right. So if you can say, Joel Embiid is the only MVP to do this since Kobe, then Jokic is the only MVP that has done this since Steve Nash. And that's real important because I think when advanced analytics and advanced stats really came into the picture and the nerds started taking over these award votes and stuff like that, and the conversations and the debates, people really started hanging their hat and putting a lot of weight into these metrics, which that really don't make sense. I mean, basketball is about winning and losing, right? And how you win is you score more points than the other team. And how you score more points than the other team is by actually scoring and preventing them from scoring. So right then and there, just quite simply, the most important things to basketball is me stopping you and me scoring on you. Like, if you take 100 shots and I stop 99 of them and you make one, that's 2 points. Now all I got to do is figure out how to get 3 points or 4 points. That's how simple basketball is. I had to score more than my opponent. I had to score more than my main. I had to score more than my team, the other team. So can you score and can you stop your man from scoring? And that makes you a full basketball player. That makes you 100% basketball player. It's two ends of the court. 50% is offense, 50% is defense. And right now, Jokic is only playing at a high level on the offensive end. He's scoring and assisting. And on the defensive end, he's playing at a below average level. So Joel Embiid is playing at a high level on both ends of the floor. He's 100% player, not 75, not 50. Right? Just by those metrics alone, you don't even have to go to the advanced stats. You don't have to go to PER and win shares and all this stuff. You don't have to look that deep. You get what I'm saying? Once you start looking that deep at simplistic things, you get yourself in trouble. Right? If I sit here and I'm looking at you and I know you're someone I'm familiar with, and I see you steal my wallet, right? And walk out of here. There's no need for me to do a fingerprint test on the wallet. Why am I going that deep? Why am I doing DNA testing and fingerprint testing? And then, okay, well, do you got the film? No, I saw you, right? It's just like court of law. You got an eyewitness. That's very strong. Megan Thee Stallion sat on the stand and said, yes, Tory Lanez, that is the man that shot me. None of the other DNA stuff even mattered because I can point you out. Anytime you do harm to a person and that person is alive to get on the stand and point you out, that is the most powerful thing that a jury can take. So keep it as simple as possible unless you have to go deeper, right? You don't automatically start looking at advanced stats. Like if Jokic and Embiid were the exact same player on the surface and they both play offense and defense and their teams had the same amount of wins and they averaged the same amount of points, rebounds, and assists, if all that was even, then maybe you can start going deeper and looking into win shares and PER and all that stuff. But it's not necessary when I can just basically look and see he plays elite defense and he scores at an elite level. He led the league in scoring this year. Number one. Led him in scoring last year as well. And then he's an elite defender, top 5 shot block at the rim, who also can guard the perimeter if he switch. That's how good he is. So if I'm looking at a guy who's elite offense, elite defense, and I'm looking at another guy who's elite offense and doesn't offer anything on defense, there's zero chance that I'm going to start looking at the PERs just so I can find something that Jokic is better at, so I can make it justifiable to give him an award. Does that make sense? Last thing I'm gonna say about this: they just changed the name of the award, right? This is the Michael Jordan. The MVP is the Michael Jordan Trophy now. They just changed it, right? Michael Jordan is now the face and the name of the MVP trophy. From here on out, I mean, it was only right that someone like Embiid, who plays elite defense and scores on an elite level, wins this first award. Michael Jordan won his MVPs by he's got 10 scoring titles. He got the scoring title every time he won the MVP. And every time he won the MVP, he also was first team all defense. One time he won the MVP, who was actually the defensive player of the year and steals champion and scores champion. Right? So let all that sink in. Not PER, not win shares, not win shares per 48, none of that goofy mess. He played elite defense and he was the best scorer in the league. Right? That's exactly what Embiid did this year, and he embodied. And for here on out, now that the name of the trophy is Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the GOAT, no one from here on out should win MVP that doesn't play defense on an elite level. So the last thing I'm gonna get into is the Phoenix Suns, man. They about to play in I think an hour or something like that. They might win this game, right? They might win this game. I was reading Phil Donahue book, and not just from his book. This is something I observe and come to my own conclusion about. I know the NBA is a business. I know part of the way they make their money is by televising games. And just quite frankly, I get more for televising 6 games than I get for televising 4 games. That's common sense, right? Right. So any businessman, if you know, or any businesswoman, it's in their best interest to televise more games, to have more games. So you got playoff games, and that's when then people watch the NBA the most. And if I can help it, I'd rather have a team go a series go 6 games or 7 games versus it be a sweep. Right. So the more games, the merrier. Right. So for that reason, and according to Phil Donahue, when the team is down in the playoffs 2-0 or 2-1, they're always gonna get the favor of the whistle because they're trying to and it's not always like they're trying to dog the other team out and make them lose the series. Most times it's just about extending the series. I just want to extend the series. I want more games. So I say all that to say this: look forward to Phoenix, especially being at home this game. Look forward to them getting a different whistle than they got in games 1 and 2 in Denver. And the crazy thing about it is, if you really look at that game 2 game, Phoenix was in control of that game, and Phoenix had some momentum. And then once Jokic kind of went out, he had a stretch in the 3rd quarter, I think, where he kind of went nuts and was just scoring left and right. Man, he was looking like an MVP candidate. You know, he was just out there unstoppable, right? But in that stretch, Phoenix had opportunities to stop the bleeding and stop the run. And they had one play where they could have stopped momentum when number 11, Lindell, their backup center, he got pushed in the back on a rebound that he actually tipped in for 2 points. So he jumped in the air, grabbed the ball while he was in the air, got pushed in the back, but he still tipped the ball in for 2 points, right? And I seen the referees wave it off and call it on the ground. And I'm thinking, okay, what would make a referee? That's an obvious push in the back while he was in the air. Why would they call it on the ground and wave off the point? And at that point, I think the run, the Denver Nuggets was on a run, and they may have either tied the game or cut it to 2. And if Lindell would have scored that and then hit the free throw, they would have went up at least 3 points if the game was tied. But if they was already up 2, they would have went up 5, of course, right? And I'm thinking in my head, it's an art to refereeing, right? Because the excitement and the entertainment we was getting from how Jokic was going off in that time and Denver was going off, you don't want to get in the way of that, because yeah, you do want to officiate the game, but we know referees control the flow of the game. Like when it gets chippy, and you got players going going back and forth, talking and chit chatting, and it gets real chippy and people start elbowing and throwing fouls. It's a referee's responsibility to start calling tic tac fouls or calling techs, so they can get control of the game. You hear people say that all the time. The refs got to get control over this game. So the refs are in control of the game from start to finish. They control the flow. We know that. We all have uttered those words or heard someone that was commentating the game utter those words. The refs need to get the game under control. Right? So we know the refs can't get it under control. Why do we think that they're not controlling it the whole time? They're allowing certain things to happen. That whatever they want to happen, to allow. If I want ticky tack fouls, I'll call ticky tack fouls. If I don't, and I want them to play, then I won't call fouls. They're in control of the game. So they got a responsibility to help provide and help facilitate and help foster an environment that's more entertainment for the people that are watching. And they don't want to get in the way of a team going on a run and a player like Jokic hitting shots left and right where he seems unguardable. Why would you stop that? Right? So the momentum would have been done if that basket would have counted and he would have shot those free throws. And who knows what they would have done for the rest of that quarter and what they would have set up for the rest of the game. So my whole point of saying all that is I think Phoenix didn't have the favor of the whistle last game in game 2, but I think that was a game that was winnable for them. But it kind of got stolen, right? I don't expect that to happen in Phoenix while they're down 2-0, right? I expect the whistle or any whistle like the one I just explained. I expect plays like that to go more in favor of Phoenix than it does Denver this time, right? And I seen it in the Clippers series as well. Clippers came out game 1, punched Phoenix in the mouth. Kawhi Leonard was unstoppable. Westbrook was unstoppable. Embarrassing, really. Second game they came out, they punched them in the mouth again, right? Went into halftime with a lead, I think. And I'm sitting here watching it like, man, Phoenix about to get put out in the first round. And from the second, so from game 1, the rest was calling the game a certain way. This is what I observed. When I watch the game, I'm observing the referees. I'm studying the referees. I'm studying what they call, what they let go. You know what I mean? Like those are all the things I'm taking notes on mentally. So I noticed from game 1 all the way to halftime of game 2, there was one way they called the game. When they came out of halftime and for the rest of the series, it was a total opposite way that they called the game. And the way they called the game after halftime of game 2 was in favor of Phoenix. And that's how Phoenix was able to run off and get out of the first round. Right. So the refereeing style is really important. It's going to favor one team over the other. Their decision to change it one way or another is very interesting, right? Use your best thought process for that. But I expect Phoenix to get favored this game. They might get favored and still lose. Phoenix still might not have what it takes. Denver might just be too unstoppable for them. But I do believe they have favored tonight. And if they lose and go down 3-0 tonight, then 100% they won't get swept. They will get another game out of it. They'll probably win in Phoenix. That'll be the game that I will 100% bet on. Like if they lose this one, I know for a fact they win in game 4. Right. But yeah, I expect them to get favored tonight. And if they can take advantage of it and come out with a win, that's cool. Now, are they going to get out of the series? I don't think so. Denver's too good. I think it's Denver's year. I think it's Jokic's year. A lot of people already feel bad for him for not getting this MVP. You just heard Doug Gottlieb say that, that it was a race thing and Kendrick Perkins was so influential that he convinced 73 out of 100 voters to vote first place votes for Embiid based on race, right? I think they're gonna be looking for a way to pay it back to Jokic, and I think he'll make the finals this year. So I think Denver is a team that's destined for the finals. Who knows what's gonna happen when they get to the finals? But I think they're destined for the finals. And Phoenix Suns is destined to be going home and be on early vacation. Now, what can they do this summer? Well, we know their first mistake. I've said it plenty of times. Their first mistake was after the Kevin Durant trade. They made no more moves. They didn't sign any free agents. I'm looking at the buyouts and free agent signings that these other teams that was gearing up for the playoffs was making, like Miami Heat getting Kevin Love. I thought Phoenix getting Terrence Ross was a good deal, but they don't even play Terrence Ross. I expect him to play more tonight. Monty Williams said he's going to play him and TJ Warren, but you bring Terrence Ross in, you don't even play him, right? He's a 3-and-D guy who's still athletic enough to use some going to the rim as well. But they're not playing him, right? So, but there was so many other guys. Westbrook gets signed by Clippers. Love to I really love the Kevin Love to Miami. That was, I mean, just a good pick. I'm like, man, why more people didn't go after Kevin Love, right? So many teams was making small little minor pickups, and Phoenix was just like, nah, we're not interested. And ever since Kevin Durant left, not even when he left the Warriors, even before he got to the Warriors. Now the Thunder did good drafting. They brought in Kevin Durant, Westbrook, Jeff Green, James Harden, Serge Ibaka. 5 guys is just amazing. And then, then they kept drafting quality guys. They had they brought in Eric Maynard. I liked him a lot. They were just bringing in quality guys. Reggie Jackson. They brought quality guys. They drafted well. However, their first mistake was they chose Westbrook over Harden. They let Harden walk. They didn't want to pay Harden walk. All right. They let Jeff Green go too soon. Right. They let Eric Maynard go. They were just letting people go. They drafted them, but they couldn't keep them. Right. And it got down to the point where all they had was Westbrook and KD. I want to say they still had Ibaka as well. But Jeff Green was a quality player, perfect player. So and James Harden was good as well. And they had a deal on the table, allegedly, for a straight up trade because Danny Ainge was having issues with Rondo, Doc Rivers was having issues with Rondo, Ray Allen was having issues with Rondo. Supposedly, and you can Google this, there was a straight up head for head trade for Rondo for Westbrook. And that I want to say that was before Harden walked. Imagine if they would have pulled that trigger on that trade, and you get a guy like Rondo who is dedicated to finding his main guys for easy buckets. Imagine Rondo running that offense with Kevin Durant and James Harden and Jeff Green. It would have been amazing, right? Versus Westbrook, right? But yeah, so many things they didn't do for Kevin Durant, and they never went and got a free agent that was gonna really help them, and they hooked their cart to Westbrook a little too much, and they end up running Kevin Durant out of there. Right? It was almost like they felt like they had a guy that was so good, and I see them do this a lot in football. When they find out a quarterback is really, really good, then they start stripping away his help to see how much he can get done with less. Like Aaron Rodgers shows that he's this MVP guy, and the first thing they do is say, well, guess what? We only gonna give you one receiver and one running back, and then I want you to figure it out, because now that we're paying you $50 million a year, we don't want to pay nobody else, so you should be good enough to get it done with one receiver. And that's basically what they did for Rodgers. And I think Seattle did it with Russell Wilson. They had the Legion of Boom, they had great defense, Marshawn Lynch, Percy Harvin. They had all that stuff around Russell Wilson. And then as soon as he sold that he was a top 5 quarterback, they paid him, and they started not paying Legion of Boom. So now he don't have a defense. Now he don't have a run game with Marshawn Lynch. They bringing in rookies. You know what I mean? Percy Harvin's gone. I can't even remember a receiver he had other than Doug Baldwin. Right? So that thing that they're doing in football with quarterbacks is what they did with Kevin Durant. Okay, you're great. Now win with just one guy helping you. And then he didn't like it, went to Golden State. You know the history of that. And then he left Golden State and went to Brooklyn. And of course, Kyrie came with him. They went and got Harden. And then once everything started going sour in Brooklyn, it was like Brooklyn was like, you know what, man, we don't need to bring no help. We got Kyrie and KD. We can just throw anything out there. Let's go get the smallest point guards. Let's go get Patty Mills, Steph Curry. Neither one of them was even good at defense, guarding players their size. But let's go into a Boston series and see if Patty Mills and Steph Curry and little Brown can guard Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and freaking what's number 12 for Boston? Big power forward. I'm like, man, are you serious? Y'all really went into a first round matchup with the Boston Celtics and thought that Steph Curry, Patty Mills, and Brown was going to be able to guard all those big Boston, right? And then, oh man, let's not even play LaMarcus Aldridge. Let's not even play Blake Griffin. Let's just play Claxton. He's undersized. He's gonna get pushed around by Horford, and he can't shoot. And he can't shoot free throws. Like they just felt like just because it was KD and Kyrie, they didn't need no help. Let's surround them with just the smallest guys, the skinniest guys, the non-shooters. Let's just surround them with that, and then let's not even provide a bench for them. And then now he leaves Brooklyn and he goes to Phoenix, and they're doing the same thing. Okay, we got Kevin Durant. We got rid of all our wing defenders. Crowder's gone. Mikal Bridges is gone. Our shooter and Cam Johnson is gone, but we're good. We don't need to replace them. We got Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant and Booker just figured out. And you got Okogie and Ayton and 38-year-old CP3, and they want them to get it done with no bench. Unreal. So what they're going to have to do is get serious about building a team around Kevin Durant and Booker, a bench, shooting, defense, all that good stuff, man. And I think it's going to start with probably being honest with CP3 and saying you probably not, if we're going to win it, you probably won't be our starting point guard. And if you're not our starting point guard, we can't pay you like you're a max player. So if his contract has an option on it after this season, I'm begging him, don't take the option. We want you to stay here, but we want you to back up the point guard we bring in, right? And that's probably a better role for CP3 right now as a backup. Sam Cassell did it his last year in Boston. Sam Cassell showed up in Boston. He backed up Rondo. It was a perfect role for him. Perfect role for him, right? So I think Phoenix, if they can get CP3 to do something with his contract, take less money, and take a role on the bench, and then they go ahead and sign Dallas sign and trade Kyrie. If they can get Kyrie for Ayton and maybe, I don't know, I don't even know if they got draft picks left, but if they can get Kyrie for Ayton and somebody else, I would love that. I would love a lineup of Kyrie, Booker, Kevin Durant. Figure out what you could do at 4 and 5, and then have CP3 lead the offense on the coming off the bench. I think that'll be better than what they got right now. They got a whole summer to figure it out. Hopefully, they're not doing what Brooklyn did last year and just not bringing nobody in, or they're bringing in their best friends or something like that. I don't know, but I think they got an opportunity to come back a lot better next year than what they are right now. But that's it. That's all I wanted to get out of here. I see y'all on the next episode next week. Friday, I should be here with Chris, my co-host, and maybe even Eric too. But we'll see. I see y'all next week. Peace.